Are we on the brink of a seismic shift for the Vancouver Canucks? With the trade deadline looming, whispers of a high-profile departure are getting louder, and it's a familiar face who's caught in the crosshairs. Can the Canucks afford to let go of a player who's not just a fan favorite, but also a key piece of their future? Stay tuned as we dive into the implications of what a trade could mean for our beloved team. If you want to stay in the loop with all things Canucks, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. The Vancouver Canucks have been making some waves lately, but the biggest storyline remains the future of Brock Boeser. With the trade deadline looming just around the corner, Canucks fans are understandably anxious about what might happen next. Boeser is in the final year of his contract, and despite some ups and downs in his tenure with the team, this season has been a mixed bag. He's shown flashes of brilliance, but injuries have derailed his momentum. Now the question is, what do the Canucks do with him? Do they risk losing him for nothing in free agency, or do they trade him now, possibly jeopardizing their playoff chances? It's a classic dilemma for a team sitting precariously on the playoff bubble. Boeser himself has expressed a desire to stay in Vancouver, but he's also realistic about the situation. I can't help but feel for him. He loves this city and this team, and honestly, who wouldn't? But at the same time, the Canucks have to look out for their future, and that's where it gets complicated. Let's dive into some potential trade destinations for Boeser, starting with the Minnesota Wild. This feels like an obvious fit, right? Boeser would get to return home, which is a huge plus, and he could fill an immediate need for the Wild, especially with Kirill Kaprizov out injured. They're struggling to generate offense without him, and Boeser could really help in that department. Plus, with his playoff experience, he could be the spark they need to finally win a playoff round. But will the Canucks be willing to retain some of his salary to make this trade work? That's the million-dollar question. Then there are the Florida Panthers, the reigning Stanley Cup champions. They're in a competitive window, and with an injury to Matthew Tkachuk, they might be looking for some offensive firepower. Boeser wouldn't replace Tkachuk, but he could definitely contribute to their scoring depth. The Canucks could land a valuable asset in return, like a first-round pick in 2026, which could be a game-changer for the future. I mean, who wouldn't want an extra first-rounder in what's expected to be a deep draft? The Los Angeles Kings are another intriguing option. They're not afraid of trading within the division, and Boeser could help boost their power play, which has been struggling. The Kings have some intriguing young players and draft capital they could offer in return. But here's the catch. They're also tight against the cap. Would a deal with them make sense for both sides? It's a bit of a gamble, but one that could pay off if the Canucks play their cards right. And then we have the Utah Hockey Club. Now, I know what you're thinking. This seems a bit far-fetched, right? But hear me out. They're trying to build a competitive team and could use a player like Boeser. With his experience and skill set, he could be a valuable addition. However, considering they're currently competing for the same wildcard spot, this trade feels like a long shot. But if they genuinely believe they can sign him for the long term, it could be worth exploring. The Canucks are at a crossroads, and every decision they make now could shape the future of the franchise. Do they hold on to Boeser and hope they can make a playoff run, or do they trade him and potentially set themselves up for a brighter future? Honestly, I'm torn. I love Boeser. He's a talented player and a fan favorite, but the reality is that we might need to think about the long game. So, what do you think? Should the Canucks keep Boeser, or is it time to move on? I want to hear your opinions down below. Let's get that discussion going, because every perspective matters as we navigate this critical moment for our team. The NHL Trade Talk recap has been buzzing, and as a passionate Vancouver Canucks fan, I'm all in on dissecting what these moves mean for our team and the future. First up, the Ducks made a surprising move by trading goaltender Ville Husso from the Red Wings. The immediate chatter among fans is whether this signals John Gibson's exit from Anaheim. While NHL insider Frank Saravalli has clarified that this trade isn't directly tied to Gibson being on the move, it does raise eyebrows. Is this the Ducks looking to shift gears? Honestly, I'm torn. On one hand, they may see Husso as a reliable option, but if Gibson goes, what does that mean for the Ducks' future? Now, let's pivot to our Vancouver Canucks. The recent rumors swirling around Thatcher Demko have caught my attention. With the Canucks signing Kevin Lankinen, could Demko be on his way out? The Oilers are reportedly eyeing him, and while there are valid concerns about his health, you can't overlook his playoff performances. He's been a monster when it counts. But trading him within the division? That's a gamble. Do you think this was the best decision? Personally, I feel a sense of hesitation here. Demko has been a cornerstone for us, and I can't help but wonder if shipping him off to a rival team is a risk we should be willing to take. Also, the Mitch Marner saga is heating up. Reports suggest he might be heading to free agency, with the Leafs possibly looking to put pressure on him. Marner's agent has a track record of guiding top clients to explore free agency, raising questions about his future in Toronto. What does this mean for the Leafs? Will they make a move before the deadline? And more importantly, how does this affect the Canucks? If Marner hits the market, could we see a bidding war? This could open doors for the Canucks if they play their cards right. Now let's talk suspensions. Trevor Zegras has been handed a 3-game suspension for interference against Michael Rasmussen. It's his first suspension, but Red Wings head coach Todd McLellan was understandably furious about the missed call on the ice. This incident raises questions about officiating and its impact on the game. Meanwhile, Ryan Hartman's suspension was reduced from 10 to 8 games, a surprising move given his history. NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman called the 10-game suspension excessive, which makes you think about consistency in the league's disciplinary actions. Reflecting on these developments, it's clear that the Canucks are at a crossroads. The decisions made by management in the coming weeks will have long-lasting effects. Will we see a shift in strategy? Are we preparing for a more youthful roster? Or are we looking to land big names like Demko? The stakes are high, and as fans, we need to be ready for any outcome. And you, what do you think? I want to hear your opinions down below. Are you optimistic about the direction the Canucks are heading? Do you believe that trading Demko is a wise move? Or should we hold on to our star goalie? Join the debate in the comments, and let's discuss our expectations together. If you enjoyed this analysis and want to stay updated with all the latest Canucks news, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Activate the notification bells so you get all the latest updates and never miss a moment in this thrilling season.